Fight Fiend Forecast. I'm Joseph, the host, back for another full card prediction show. And last week, we did pretty good on the picks, although I thought the card was going to be very hard to forecast. Well, I mean, it was very difficult to forecast. I'm surprised I didn't get slaughtered on the bets. I mean, I had way too much units down for a sloppy card like that and a tricky one to forecast. It wasn't that sloppy. It was actually very entertaining. I shouldn't have said sloppy. I mean, we had a bunch of great fighters, and we made the most of it. Like Dominic Reyes in a co-main event spot got the knockout. In the first round, he looked incredible. Reyes 2.0, he shined. He was one of the dogs of the week. One of them, but we had two. I should have went with one dog, but I wanted two. I had 8 dog picks. Cody Stamann, okay? He was another one. He was my second most confident, I guess you could say, and he could not get the job done against Taylor Lapalus. Everyone had Taylor Lapalus to win a decision, and he won it unanimously. I'm going to make no argument for Cody Stamann. I mean, his takedowns, 1 for 6, 3 minutes control time, but that's not enough to win a fight for sure. He didn't win any round, in my opinion. So, yeah, terrible pick for me. You got to live with the losses and learn from that. But that underdog, Dominic Reyes, super happy with that bet as well. It was a good read by me, and we're going to get paid from having good reads. Now, the lock of the week, this is another one where a lot of people didn't agree, but I told you she opened up as a favorite. And there's not many girls from India in the UFC. I mean, she was the first ever to enter the UFC, so it was a matchup where I thought they were giving her the easiest possible matchup to get the win. That's what I mean. Like, the matchmakers obviously thought they need to expand that market in India. We need to give this girl probably the easiest fight possible to get her hand raised, and they did that. She won a decision with the leg kicks. Like I mentioned, that was going to play a factor. Forward pressure. And I don't think you can make an argument that she didn't win the fight. So lock of the week, Puja Tomar got it done. Plus 250. Are you going to argue with that lock of the week? It was a close fight. It went down to the buzzer. It was a nail biter. You want the underdog in that kind of situation. I had it as lock of the week, a solo lock, single lock of the week. I had 5 the week prior. All favorites. And I mean, it's pretty easy to hit favorites, so that's why I had to make a statement and take the Indian and lock her in. And I showed everybody the forecasted percentage chart. She was over 80%. I was very high confidence on Puja Tomar. It wasn't just a medium confidence play. I went from low confidence to high confidence, and then I locked her in, so that's why, you deserve to get credit where credit is earned. What a risk that was. I was 7 in a row, risked it all for a biscuit that absolutely paid out. Now, it could have went either way. The judges could have decided on Dos Santos, but looking at the stat sheet here, Tomar landed more on the feet. She stuffed all 3 takedowns, never got controlled. The leg kicks alone probably won her the fight, 16-8, and she had some big moments. She had some good moments as well. Nothing too big, but enough to win the rounds, in my opinion. So, lock of the week, happy with that pick, 100%. Now, this week, am I going to have a lock on this show? Maybe. Maybe we're going to find one. Is there a lot of underdogs barking on this card? I don't think there's as many, to be honest. Personally, I'd say 3 or 4. But we'll see if we can call 1 or 2. I have pretty high confidence in a couple. We'll talk about them in a minute. I had them as honorable mentions on the show. Zachary's, Punahele Soriano, they both got the job done. Plus 110, plus 170. I made a mistake, didn't take the money line, and I didn't go heavy on those bets. Probably should have. I said they could have been locks of the week. They could have been dogs of the week. So I was pretty confident in those 2 underdogs, and they did cash in. John Castaneda, I had him as a showcase card, and he did not do anything. But Imavov, he was the other showcase card. He got the job done in a fight that, was it stopped early? I mean, Cannonier kept turning around and running away, so that's not a good sign. The referee does not want to see you turn around and run away from a fight, in a fight. So I can't make an argument. I can't complain about the stoppage, honestly. Imavov, he looked damn good. I thought in the first and second round he lost, but in the third, fourth, he got the finish. He looked good. He looked quick. But I don't know if he's going to be top 5 in the middleweight division. Imavov is not my favorite fighter in the middleweight division. I don't even know if he gets past Marvin Vettori. So that'd be a good fight to put together next here. Marvin Vettori, Nasruddin Imavov. Let me know what you think about that one. It has potential to be the next fight for those fighters. Cannonier at 40 years old, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I had medium confidence in him, not the highest confidence. And at 40 years old, you just don't know when he's eventually going to slow down and lose a fight. So that's why I didn't go too heavy. But I did bet a wild bet with my buddy Dreadstocks, who had Imavov, and told me to leave Cannonier off parlays. He shouldn't be a high confidence pick. And I listened to him, so I'm glad I listened to him in that situation there. Co-main event, we already talked about that. Reyes 2.0 is here. Rosas Jr. by submission in the second round. I mean, a lot of people thought that fight was going the distance. I don't know why. I knew Rosas could get the takedowns, and if he was getting the takedowns and going to have that much control time on the back of Pretty Ricky, it wasn't going to be so pretty. The submission for Rosas was going to come eventually, and he found it. Rear naked choke in the second round, plus 800 I think it was. So if anybody had that ticket, it cashed. I had it in a double bet, so that was a mistake I made as well. I had Thiago Moises round 2 submission with Rosas Jr. Now, Thiago Moises. Now, this guy here, I'm all over the place on this card, but we're going to go through it quick. Moises did not impress. Bad fight for him. But was it bad, or was it that, I mean, Ludovic Klein looked really good. He's powerful, has great cardio, and he is a force to be reckoned with at 155. So keep your eyes out for Ludovic Klein. Big mistake for taking Thiago Moises on my part. Sorry for that. Another mistake made here. Not Bruno Vieira. The Hulk got it done. Fucking Dustin Stolfus better's looking silly after that one. I mean, how could you have Stolfus? Denise Gomes, split decision win against a girl I needed, Eduarda Mora. Almost locked in Eduarda. I almost made Eduarda a lock. She had 27 strikes. No, she didn't almost win, but she had a lot of takedown attempts, kind of Merab Davashvili style. I thought she would win, but she didn't. She only had 5 takedowns, 7 minutes control time, not enough. Denise Gomes on the feet, landed more, and I guess the judges are going with the strikers, not the grapplers. So remember that. Montana De La Rosa in her split decision win, though, would say different. She had 3 out of 6 takedowns, 2 minutes control time, and got outstruck by 30 strikes and 1. A little bit lopsided. Now, it just seems like the judges wanted the women's underdogs to win, right? Montana De La Rosa, Denise Gomes, and obviously Pooja Tamar. All the underdogs won that were women's fighters. It's a coincidence, and they were all split decisions. So, we'll have to keep that in mind. The women's underdogs are live, and we have 2 on this card, potentially live here at UFC Vegas 93, back at the Apex. That's all I'm going to talk about, because Chuck Buffalo, he got knocked the fuck out. That's why I didn't mention him. That's why. Prates has serious power. That was another mistake, so we learned from the losses, and we're right back at it here. On a heater, and we got 13 fights at the Apex, back in Vegas, Golden Knights, on the golf course. That's all right, because we're betting on the Florida Panthers tonight in a parlay, plus 1.5 for the Panthers. I'm not getting near that money line. I think they win or lose within a goal, but I like the player shots on goals, and I like Sergei Bobrovsky for 25 saves. The video is not going to be out in time for you to take that bet, but I'm just saying, Bobrovsky, 25 saves, single bet that 30 saves tonight, game 2 versus the Oilers. I think that's money. But let's get right into this. UFC Vegas 93 at the Apex, and I mean 13 fights that are kind of like Contender Series fights. Dana White's backyard, the usual. I mean, the first fight, though, these guys have seen some cage time in the UFC. Shayilan, Nuerdanbieke, Melquizael, Costa. And I'm going with Melquizael Costa. He lost his last fight. So did Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. Look at who they lost against. Steve Garcia. Knocked them both out. Steve has power. Steve is a good striker. Now both these guys had a streak of wins. Nuerdanbieke inside of the UFC. His last win was Derek Minor, 26-13. That fight was set up. Apparently Derek Minor's corner was betting on him to lose, get knocked out in that get knocked out in that first round. James Krause and the gang there. They got the snip. Derek Minor no longer in the UFC. His other 2 wins before that on a 3-fight win streak. He beat TJ Brown, decision. And Sean Soriano, 14-7, unanimous decision. So considering the last win for Shayilan Nuerdanbieke was a knockout that looked set up, probably was set up, or the fighter just didn't show the hell up, basically is what I'm trying to say. He's not getting the finish. He can't get that knockout shot, not against a guy with a longer reach advantage. I think Melquizael Costa is the rightful favorite here. Now, he won his fight in the UFC against Austin Lingo by a decision. He can get takedowns. If not, he can stuff them, keep it on the feet, do enough to win. This is not the most confident pick on the card for me. You got to look at his debut that he lost to Thiago Moises. He got submitted, so not the best look, but a very tough fight debuting in the UFC. And his streak was outside of the UFC, so you can't have the most confidence in Melquizael. He beat Junior Mello 12-5, knocked him out, and then he knocked out a 12-11 opponent. So, I mean, his level of competition, not the best. Hard to trust. But I got to think training at Shoot Box and training with guys like Anderson Brito as well, I think it'll help him out. I think he'll get the job done. It's not the most confident one, though. Like, low to medium, Melquizael Costa. Shayilan Nuerdanbieke is tough, durable. He's yoked. And he also trains with, this probably means nothing. He trained with Shavkat Rakhmonov now. Maybe he comes out here, gets takedowns, gets control time, looks very good on the feet. I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. I'm going Melquizael Costa, probably medium confidence here to win a decision. He's going to edge it out here with the reach advantage and with a great training team at Shoot Box. He's going to have some tools in the bag to get this job done. No doubt about that. But Tapology, 62% have the dog here. My cat keeps interrupting and stepping on the computer. They think he has a legitimate chance to win. I'm disagreeing. And it's okay to disagree with my picks, with Tapology, with the bookies. As you can tell, last week, I proved a point. When you disagree with the public, with the bookies, you can get paid. And that's what we're here to do. Get paid. So the next fight, Julia Polastri against Josefine Knutsson.
These nuts.
Josefine Thunder Knutsson.
These nuts.
7-0, undefeated. Back in action. These two girls. I mean, at these odds, I don't think it's going to be what you think. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think they're going to put up a fight. Now, Julia, coming off the Contender Series, beat a girl that was 9-2. Submission win. Okay? Josefine Knutsson's not finishing anyone right now. And Brenda, whatever her last name is, 6-0 undefeated, got submitted by an arm triangle to Julia Polastri as well at LFA. Another big win, 7-11 and 19-8. She beat those girls by knockout and decision. So her level of competition, it's mediocre. Her last 2 wins, pretty damn good. Submission wins. Josefine Knutsson on the feet, she's very good, very technical, but if she gets taken down and gets in a submission against a girl this good, I don't know. She's a dog. We've seen the underdogs bark for the women's fighters. I mean, last week, all 3 won. Split decision wins. If it's close, if it's 50-50, you take the dog. That's my opinion now. I almost have to. 85% of people have Knutsson on Tapology. Obviously, by a decision. 97% of them have a decision. So bet the over. Bet the fight to go the distance. But honestly, take a look at Julia Polastri here. I think she can get the submission. I think it's live for sure, at least. Because Knutsson, her last 5 fights, 6-1 decision, 4-1 decision, 4-0 split decision, 6-2 decision, and 4-3 and 1 decision. She can't finish those girls. She has no finishing potential. I got to bet on girls that have finishing potential. So that means I'm probably betting on Julia Polastri, the underdog in this fight. I think she has a very good chance to get the submission. On the feet, I don't think she has much of a chance, considering she knocked out a girl that was 7-11, but she is number 1 ranked women's fighters in Brazil. I'm pretty sure that's at strawweight. She's also number 1 ranked across the board in a couple different areas here. I'm looking at it. She's number 1 in North America, number 1 U.S. West, number 1 in Central and South America, number 1 in Brazil, number 1 in Nevada. And this is out of 300 fighters, 1,000, 1,100, 500, 21. So she's very good. I'm taking the dog, Julia Polastri. And now we're going to take a look at the next fight on the prelims. Jeka Saragih and Westin Wilson. We just talked about a fighter coming off the Contender Series. At the start of the video, I said this is like a fight card in Dana White's backyard. And it's basically a Contender Series fight night. But Jeka Saragih, he was on the road to the UFC. He looked good. He had a couple knockouts, 7-2, 16-7, 6-4. And then he lost to Jubilee, 6-0, who just got knocked out to Mike Breeden in the 3rd. So not a great loss. And he's from Indonesia. You don't see a whole lot of Indonesian fighters, but obviously the market has to grow there. They give him the easiest fight possible. He's a massive favorite. Westin Wilson, though, with the reach advantage, could have a chance. He does like his submissions, but he beat a guy that was 8-5, 4-3, and 9-20. There's no fucking way in hell Westin Wilson can win this fight. I don't know why he's even in the UFC. He shouldn't be. He lost his last 2 fights, got smoked to Jean Silva, and smoked to Joanderson Brito. He's done after he fights Jeka Saragih and gets knocked out in the 1st round. There's not much to break down against Lucas Alexander. Jeka Saragih bounced back, showed his power, his speed. That was 6 months ago, and he's coming back and getting another win in the 1st. He's not going to fuck around. Westin Wilson is honestly getting knocked out every single time in the 1st round. Can anybody make a argument for Westin Wilson now? He got knocked out in the 1st to Jean Silva, knocked out in the 1st to Joanderson Brito. He also got knocked out prior to the UFC 2022 to a guy that was 11-9 in the 1st. Submitted to a guy that was 8-4 in 2021 in the 1st. Submitted to a guy that was 7-1 in the 1st, 2019. There's no way Jeka Saragih does not finish Westin Wilson in the very 1st round. I'm calling the knockout punch because Westin Wilson is good on the ground, if he's going to be called good anywheres, because I think he sucks. I think he stinks, and I think he's getting knocked the fuck out. And next up, get that protein into you. Stay healthy, because we got another women's underdog next. Carli Judice. And my cat's back. The dog of the week could be the cat of the week this week. We got Carli Judice, the cat of the week. Here we go, baby. She's the cat of the week. She's 3-1 against Gabriella Fernandes, who threw, under 50 strikes her last fight? Are you serious? She's a favorite? I already see money coming in. Sharp money coming in on Carli Judice, who turned down a scholarship to play softball at McNess State. So I think the UFC seen her in the Contender Series and thought, wow, she threw a lot. She had high volume, and she lost a split decision that she could have won. She should have won. And now we're going to give her a legitimate chance to get a win, get her hand raised inside of the UFC, give her a contract, because she turned down a scholarship to train MMA. She was undefeated, 3-0, had a chance at the Contender Series, so Dana seen something he liked. The cat of the week is coming to her. Okay, pound this line, plus 170. is the live line. Plus 200 is what you're seeing here on the show. I have no clue why. Is this a Puja Tamar situation? Is it a cat of the week, lock of the week? You're going to have to join Discord, absolutely free. Join Patreon, $5 a month, because I don't think Gabriel Fernandes has a chance. I'm picking Carli Judice to win 100%. If it's a decision, knockout, submission, I don't care. At these odds, I'm taking her all day long. She has a 2-inch reach advantage. She's 5 years younger, and she is super, super determined to win. She turned down a scholarship, lost her last fight by split. She had a lot of strikes. And if she's going to have a striking fight against Gabriel Fernandes, the numbers won't be close. Carli Judice, cat of the week for the win. You got to trust in me. After Puja Tamar, have a little trust in your boy, okay? This is a potential lock of the fucking week. Let's go. Sorry for the foul language, but I'm excited for this fight night, even though it's kind of sloppy. This is sloppy. Last week was not sloppy. Okay, last week was very difficult to predict, but this week is just sloppy. Dana White's backyard. Contender series fights all over again. Some people that aren't even in the top 15. We got another matchup here. That's all right. Garrett Armfield, Brady Hiestand. At 135, these two might break top 15, one of them. But who? They have the same kind of style. It's tough to predict this one. I almost want to go dog. Now I have to make an argument why the dog will win. Against Dana Backreel, he found the knockout. He's had some ups, he's had some downs, and one of the downs was against Ricky Turcios. He lost a split decision. He had a lot of takedowns, a lot of control time. He lost. Split. Now, he's looked serviceable in the UFC. He beat Fernie Garcia, a bunch of pressure, takedowns, control time again. Now, Garrett Armfield has good takedown defense, good takedowns of his own, power, and it's tough to bet against him now. He lost to David Onama by a submission. It's not a bad loss. Ricky Turcios, that's a much worse loss in my opinion. And then he got knocked out to Chad and Helliger, my former dog of the week there from Canada. He got knocked out to Chad and Helliger 4 years ago, okay? The kid's 25. Cut him some slack, okay? I was going to take Bam Bam for the win, but now it's like, oh, Jesus. 83% on Armfield. 85% think it's going to be a decision. It's probably correct. Marathon, MMA, I've been hating on you. I've been going against your fighters. I feel bad, but the Fight Fiend forecast is going to take one of your boys. We're going Garrett Armfield by a decision. He just beat Brad Katona. That was a good win. Might have been a robbery, but he got it done. I mean, on the feet, he can hold his own. He can show that he's more powerful. He knocked out Kazama, 10-3, straight right hand. So he could find the knockout shot. And prior to the UFC, Armfield beat a guy that was 10-5, knockout punch. So if you're getting knocked out to Chad and Helliger, like, that's just a no-no for me. I do think the fight will be a little bit close, but I can't lock in or take Brady Hiestand as a dog of the week, let alone pick him to win, I guess. I got to change that one for Patreon. Brady Hiestand is not my pick. After doing the show here live, I can't do it. It is a 50-50 fight. Both these guys have the same style, in my opinion. It's going to be super close, but I got to go with the favorite by a decision. I mean, you might want the dog in this situation, but we'll ride with the favorite. Not the most confident pick, though. Just being honest. And next up, we got Nate Maness and Jimmy Flick. This has to be a finish. Jimmy Flick gets knocked out in every fucking loss. And Nate Maness has a lot of knockout wins. He has power on the feet. Can Jimmy Flick even stay on the feet too long with this guy? The odds, don't think so. Topology has 90% towards Maness. I mean, I gotta agree. Maness, in his last fight, knocked out Mateusz Mendonca, who looked horrible. And he had a good win against Tony Gravely, though. That is making me think in this fight he'll have no problem. Tony Gravely was 21-6. That was a huge win. Tony Gravely's ripped, found the knockout shot in the second round. I don't know if this is getting into the second. It could. It easily could get into the second round and Nate Maness just land that big shot. But in the first round, he could find the shot. He had a rear naked choke against a guy that was 13-3 as well 3 years ago. But he could still get the submission. I would lean the knockout. He lost 2 fights, one by a decision to Umar Nurmagomedov. I don't think he's going to lose or get finished to Jimmy Flick. And his other loss was to Tagir Ulanbekov, who did find the submission. Not a bad loss there. Jimmy Flick was knocked out to Alessandro Costa and knocked out to Charles Johnson. So his chin is not serviceable. I can't trust him. As a dog, I think he has no chance. I thought he was going to quit. He said he was done. He came back and beat Malcolm Gordon 14-7 by a submission. And now he's coming back to lose another. I got to think Nate Maness, at these odds, gets the knockout first round. Just like Jeka Saragih. Both of them should get the finish in the first round by knockout with ease. Fucking ease. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And Tagir Ulanbekov, the guy that submitted Nate Maness, is fighting Joshua Van. This is interesting. Joshua Van was supposed to fight Tatsuro Taira. That fight fell through. And now we got Tagir and Joshua Van, Alex Perez, Tatsuro Taira. I think it's a better matchup, but I think the bookies are smart to it. You're not going to get a great price for Tagir Ulanbekov, who's going to get takedowns, control time, and have no problem on the feet, training with Khabib, Makhachev. You can't go against that gym. You can't. If you are, double think what you're doing. Like, just double think what you're doing. Don't look at the Tim Elliott fight and be like, fuck, man, he lost to Tim Elliott. Like, Joshua Van's looking good. He's 22. He's 10 years younger. He's going to have cardio and speed. No, just stop. Stop it there. I mean, that was a bullshit fight. Tagir's bouncing back. He beat Alan Nascimento 18-5, split decision. He beat Bruno Silva 10-4. I'm just going to stop there. Bruno Silva's not a great win, but he beat Nate Maness 14-2 at the time by submission. In his last fight, submitted Cody Durden. I think in this fight, he's going to win a clean decision, unanimous for Ulanbekov against Joshua Van, who was a former lock of the week, who I really like, but dude, he beat Felipe Buns in his last fight 13-6. No shit I was going to make him a lock of the week. Okay, I can't be biased. Okay, you can't go against Khabib's corner and Makhachev's training partner, Tagir. If you can bring yourself to go against a guy with a 5-inch reach disadvantage and a guy that's not having near the amount of experience as the other guy, and picking the guy that's not training with the level of guys that the other guy's with, I mean, what are you doing? Clear favorite, Tagir Ulanbekov, training with the better level of competition, has way more experience, seasoned like a fucking pretzel. He's getting it done. Ulanbekov, unanimous. Kevin Borjas, 9-1, debuting, nearly beat Joshua Van. It was a close fight for the most part, but it was a unanimous win for Joshua Van. He's not getting the finishes. He's not the spectacular finish. Let's just say he had a split decision to 14-8 Zhalgas Zhumagulov. He's losing this fight. And next up, before we get going with the main card, smash that like button, suplex the subscribe button. We're going to start it with a fight that is bouncing between a coin flip and a slight underdog for the guy that I have high confidence in. If we can get him at a slight dog, he could be a lock of the week. Dog of the week. Probably lock. Lock of the week. He could be a lock. Josh Quinlan, Adam Fugitt. Both these guys lost 2 in the UFC. We're going to talk about Adam first. He lost to 13-0 Michael Morales by knockout, 3rd round. And he lost to Mike Malott, my Canadian. Submission. Guillotine. Not a bad loss. Not a bad loss. Debuting Danny Barlow knocked out Josh Quinlan in the third round. Barlow's undefeated. Powerful. That's okay loss. Trey Waters, unanimous decision, beat Quinlan as well. Quinlan lost his last two. He's the favorite. Money's coming in on him. He has a 5-inch reach disadvantage again in this fight. Kind of like Joshua Van, 5-inch reach disadvantage. Quinlan against Trey Waters struggled with the reach advantage. He struggled. And his win was against Jason Witt, 19-8. Anybody can knock him out. Josh Quinlan did as well. So the win for Adam Fugitt, in my opinion, against Yusako Kinoshita, 6-1. Elbows for a mount is super impressive. It was in the first round. And he had 4 out of 7 takedowns. He was going takedown after takedown after takedown. It was relentless. If he does that in this fight, I would love him as my lock of the week. Elbows from mount, relentless takedowns off the bat. He's not fighting Michael Morales or Mike Malott. He has a solid chance to win. At plus 100, that's what I seen earlier on Bet365. I'd smash that for sure. 100%. I think it's a high confidence pick for me. And I think Josh Quinlan isn't really UFC caliber. Adam Fugitt actually, in my opinion, is. He went 3 rounds with an undefeated Michael Morales. And before the UFC, he knocked out 8-2 Solomon Renfro, who's pretty good outside of the UFC. Knocked him out, no problem, first round. And knocked out another guy, 4-2. So his last 3 wins, all by knockout. Josh Quinlan knocked out in his last fight. I wonder how that chin is. I wonder if Adam can get the knockout or even get a submission. Played inside the distance at a 50-50 price tag. I think that's a good prop to play. Adam Fugitt inside the distance. Forecast of the week, what you got? Who do you got? Let me know in the comments below your most confident prop of the week. Your most confident outcome at the odds of plus 100 or above. Let's cash a big forecast of the week ticket this week. I'll put a heavy bet down, but I got to see more than one forecaster commenting their most confident prop at plus money. I'll go heavy, and we're going to win together. Let's go. Kind of heavy, like these two fighters here. Asu Almabaev, Jose Johnson. Johnson, how is he making 125, dude? Honestly, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Jose Johnson cutting to 125 is bonkers, man. He's 6 feet tall at 125. He's fought at bantamweight. He's being a weight bully here. He's being a weight bully for sure. I think the weight cut will affect him. I think Asu Almabaev will get takedowns galore and have control of time. He had 10 minutes control, a bunch of takedowns against CJ Vergara. He's going to do the same in this fight. But I think the submission will unfold. He submitted Ode Osborne. He found the rear naked choke. I think he can find it here. Long limbs on Jose Johnson. Jose was submitted as well to Damon Blackshear. Twister choke. Damon Blackshear is 13-5. He probably shouldn't be pulling off a submission by Twister. He doesn't come off as the guy to get a Twister win. He's not the biggest grappler or fucking black belt that's dominating in the UFC, so to get submitted by Twister is not a good sign, but he went out there and got a submission win in his next fight to fucking Chad and Helliger. So I hold 0 credit in that win. 12-6, Chad and Helliger in the third round by rear naked choke. Good job, Jose. Good job. He beat a jacked up Jack Cartwright. 10-0. It looks good, but looking at Jack Cartwright, he hasn't fought the highest level of competition, so I don't rate that too high. He knocked out a 4-1 opponent and knocked out a 6-0 opponent. So maybe Jose Johnson at this weight cut looks phenomenal, gets the knockout punch. He's not getting the submission, especially not against Asu Almabaev, but he could knock him out. He could. But at these odds, at how confident Tapology is on Asu Almabaev, I can't recommend you to go against him, and I would say he's safe for DraftKings lineups. Takedowns, control time, It's going to score a lot. Put him in your lineups. Asu Almabaev, unanimous decision, or submission. That's my call in this fight. That's the forecast. And on DraftKings, he's going to be in my lineup scoring a bunch of points. So on DraftKings, another player, another fighter I want you to consider adding would be Tagir Ulanbekov, another guy that could get the submission, but wins a decision with takedowns, control time, and will score a lot on DraftKings. Another fighter, while we're at it, I'll give you 3. Julia Polastri or Carli Judice. 2 girl dogs. Very good for your lineups this week. And next up, we got a fight that's 50-50. And it's Miles Johns, Douglas Silva d'Andrade. These 2 boys are yoked. They're drinking their protein. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't think they miss a day of protein. But one guy is 8 years older, Douglas Silva d'Andrade. He's serviceable. Said that a few times on the show here. He's had a long career. He's been powerful. He's had knockouts, but haven't seen them lately. Miles Johns, he cannot get a finish in this fight. He couldn't finish Cody Gibson. So he's not finishing Douglas Silva d'Andrade. He couldn't finish 11-6 Vince Morales. He's not getting the finish. The only reason why I think he's going to win is his decision win to Dan Argueta that got overturned because of some supplements in his system there. But he can get takedowns, control time, and win a close decision. 50-50 fight. Take whoever you like more, I guess. There's no real confidence in this fight. Douglas Silva d'Andrade beat Cody Stamann. I mean, that's an alright win. He lost to Said Nurmagomedov, unanimous decision. He lost to Lerone Murphy, unanimous decision. Super tough to finish. He has a lot of experience, but at 38, he's going to be a lot slower in this fight. He's going to get taken down, controlled. Miles Johns is going to be hungry like a dog and just too relentless. He's going to get the takedowns, some control time. I can trust him to win. He has some momentum here. So we all could probably agree if Miles Johns won his last 3 fights and they didn't overturn that one, he would be the favorite. It would not be a 50-50 fight on the odds. So I'd say we take advantage and we take Miles Johns as a bet. Put him in a parlay, maybe DraftKings, something like that. At a 50-50 price, Douglas Silva d'Andrade being 8 years older, I don't trust him too much. He's not that serviceable anymore. So the end is soon for him. I got to go with the 30-year-old from Dallas, Texas, Miles Chapo Johns. Let's go. We're getting 50-50 odds. It's not bad. It's not bad. And the next fight on the card is Timothy Cuamba against Lucas Almeida. Almeida lost his last 2 fights, knocked out, submitted against Pat Sabatini and Andre Fili. Now, Cuamba, he got a call back to the UFC after not getting the contract, lost, split decision to a yoked below Giochi, 8-1. Not a bad loss. The kid's from Vegas, hometown fight, training local. He's going to be ready to go. He wants a win in the UFC. He wants a contract. He beat a guy that was 7-2 after he didn't get the contract and knocked him out with a head kick and punches. He's coming out here to slaughter Lucas Almeida. If he doesn't win a unanimous decision like I think, he might get the knockout. Lucas Almeida, his chin, not trustable. He got knocked out to Andre Fili quick and early, and he lost a decision to Daniel Zellhuber as well, where he made a go at it. He made a run for his money, but he could not beat Daniel Zellhuber, and that's really no surprise. Looking at Zellhuber now, that was a tough fight for Lucas Almeida. I'm really surprised he didn't get finished, but he did beat Michael Trezano, knocked him out 9-2, and before that he submitted a guy that was 10-3 with a guillotine. So Lucas Almeida, I mean, some people might think he's live, but I don't think he's live enough. There's I don't really like the favorite, but how much do you like the dog? I don't like Lucas Almeida really at all. I had him once against maybe Michael Giordano, and then I took him against Sabatini, and then I was like, fuck that. I took Philly against Lucas Almeida. It paid off. Lucas Almeida against Timothy Cuamba, who's going to be young and hungry. I don't think it's going to work out for the dog here. 25 years old against 33 years old. That's 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. 8 years in the difference. Cuamba's going to be gassed up, ready to go. He's going to have cardio, pressure. He's going to be more accurate. Unless he gets knocked out, because he's still green. He's 8-2. I mean, Lucas Almeida for 33, he's only 14-3. He's not that experienced either. And he should be in his prime. And he's barely making it past fights in the UFC. He's actually coming on to the end of his contract, ready to get cut after a loss to Timothy Cuamba by a decision if he doesn't get finished. That's how I see it going. 80% agree on Topology. Odds agree. They have Cuamba as the favorite. I think the UFC are giving Timothy Cuamba a winnable fight. A very winnable fight. They're giving the kid a win at least. A decision at very least if he can't get that knockout. I'm going Timothy Cuamba. His knockout wins 4-5, 3-1, 7-2. Maybe he gets the KO because his last win was by a head kick to a 7-2 opponent, but he's going to win a decision nonetheless. I'm going Cuamba. KO or decision all day here. And next up, we got the co-main event. Ikram Aliskerov, 7-1 favorite against Antonio Tricoli. This is going to be the fastest breakdown of all time. You take Ikram Aliskerov, you play it in the first round, you never look back. I would say it's going to be the knockout as well. He fought Hamzat. He fucking has fought way better guys than Antonio Tricoli, who literally lost 3 fights in a row. 2016 to 2017. He retired in one of them, got knocked out in the second round, quit on the stool or something like that, to a 7-3 opponent. He lost 2 decisions to a 10-4 opponent, and 18-6. He's not solid. His second last official win was to a guy that was 2-6 by a decision, and before that, he beat a guy that was 21-13 by a decision. His only chance in this fight would be a finish, and judging by what I just said, he has no fucking chance of getting a finish. Ikram Aliskerov in the very first round by knockout. He knocked out Warley Alves in the first round. He knocked out Phil Haas in the first round. He's knocking this bum out in the first round. Co-main event set up as fuck. And the final fight of the night is Tatsuro Taira and Alex Perez. I got an autographed, rated rookie Tatsuro card, and there's no fucking way in hell the Fight Fiend forecast is going against 15-0 Tatsuro Taira. Perez, he got the knockout in his last fight. Right hook. Tatsuro and his corner seen that, and they're aware of it. They know how to defend it. And if you think his corner is not like telling him exactly how to defend that kind of hook, you're crazy, man. His corner is going to be so sharp. He's going to have such a good game plan, and that is what will win him the fight. You're going to see it as this fight unfolds. Tatsuro Taira, with a solid game plan, beats Alex Perez without a sweat. If this is 25 minutes, which it is, it's not going to the final bell. The final 25-minute mark. There's no way. Tatsuro Taira will get the submission. On the feet, he looked phenomenal against Carlos Fernandes. He could set it up with the striking, and then he will be able to advance to the ground. He's working on all levels of his game, on the feet, on the ground. He's improving. He's going to constantly be improving. He's been in the UFC for over 2 years now. He beat Carlos Candelario, decision. CJ Vergara, submission. Jesus Aguilar submission, Edgar Cheraz decision, Carlos Hernandez knockout. This is definitely, without a doubt, his biggest step up in competition. Alex Perez. He got submitted to Pantoja and Figueiredo. No shame in that. 3 months ago, he suffered a loss to Muhammad Mokaev, who is undefeated, who dominated that fight, who I couldn't believe couldn't get the finish, but Perez was tough. He got out of a lot of submission attempts. But in this fight, 25 minutes is a lot of time to be in there with Tatsuro, who's going to have a game plan to not get knocked out. So if it's going to be a unanimous decision for Tatsuro, I could see that. But I could honestly see a third, fourth round submission for Tatsuro, dominating, getting his takedowns, showing that on the feet he's not that bad. He's still improving. And he's definitely improving enough that he's going to be as good or better than Muhammad Mokaev was on the feet versus Alex Perez. Because Alex Perez was stuffing takedowns and stopping them against Muhammad Mokaev, making Mokaev strike. And Mokaev was still just a bit better than Perez. So on the feet, Perez isn't that good. He's 32. He took a break. He has a lot of holes in his game. And Tatsuro, undefeated, is honestly spectacular. Hands down, there's not many holes in his game. You can't go against him. He's probably going to win a unanimous decision, if not third, fourth round submission. It could come sooner. It wouldn't surprise me. I honestly think Tatsuro by submission is the play, but I would honestly hedge it or just be safe and go submission or decision. So that's an option as well. Double chance Tatsuro Taira. Easy win though. Hands down, it's going to be no sweat. There's not going to be a round or 2 rounds that were oh shit, he might get knocked out. This is it. There's a chance though, because Perez has power. He's going to go for the knockout, but having faith that Tatsuro's corner is going to have a solid game plan, I will never think about going against him. And in this fight, I can't wait to see what he has to offer. He's constantly improving, and this is definitely, like I said, the biggest step up in competition for him. Nonetheless, I still think he sweeps the floor. So, I'm being honest, 100% honest, and hopefully it pays off, because I'm going to have my guy Tatsuro Taira in a parlay. On Friday, I'm coming back, doing a props and parlay show. I'm giving you the locks, the dogs, if I do happen to change any picks, which that wouldn't be crazy too on a card like this. I'll let you know on the Friday show. Other than that, you cannot forget to smash that like button before you go, suplex the subscribe button, and turn on the post notification button so you can get notified when the next video drops on Friday. Thanks for watching the full card predictions for
UFC Vegas 93. You know what to do. You know what time it is.